Welcome to the Other Discovery Show, the podcast that's not about podcasts. It is the Podcast Discovery Show's bonus show where every single week we talk about all of the other things that we've discovered. I'm Kirk.
And I am Zach. And are you ready to get fast and furious?
Always. I'm always fast and furious.
Okay. I read a Reddit thread that had to be discussed.
You read a Reddit thread?
I did. I'm going to just read you the title. I wanted to know which of the 9 Fast and Furious films was the most fast and furious. To do this, I created 23 categories, ranked the films in each category, and found out that Fast and Furious 6 is the most fast and furious of the franchise.
It's the fastest and furious.
So this guy really loves to dig into, okay, and this isn't meant to be mean, but like unnecessary analytics. Like nobody needed this, but they didn't know that they needed it. It is something that is amazing. So he basically made 23 categories that he scored each of the films on to decide which was the most Fast and Furious.
I think this is the thing. This is the lead that was buried. Was the list of what he rated it as.
So
let's go into that. I'm excited about that.
Racing time.
Okay, that makes sense.
Usage.
NOS. Okay.
So how many times you hit in the NOS? It's important.
This is my favorite one.
Is there a barbecue? Which finale has the fastest ending? Best fight. And he has a little bit of explainer here, so we'll go for it. This may sound crazy, but I love in Fast and Furious 6 when Han and Roman fight Ja Rule?
Maybe?
Yeah, it's not Ja Rule. He doesn't have an H on there. They get destroyed and are covered in sweat afterwards. It's a nice contrast to the rest of the brawls. Also, I like the Letty versus Riley, Gina Carano fight that happens at the same time. So, in general, he's kind of just pointing out why he likes this one. 6, engine revving time.
There's a lot of that.
Very important for a Fast and the Furious movie.
So much.
7, time spent talking about cars. And he has a whole chart for all of this. For each of the movies, man. For each one of these categories. 8, time spent when cars are worked on. 9, gear shifts. 10, tachometer, speedometer shots. 11, explosions. Just
okay,
that's it.
There you
explosions.
go. Yeah.
12, time a gun is wielded. Also good. 13, hand-to-hand combat time. 14, time spent riding outside of vehicles. 15, time spent at social gatherings. Maybe one of my favorites, number 16, male biceps time.
I'm going to get us on the chart.
It's important.
I'm going to get us on the Fast and Furious
just keep it going. Keep it going. We need time.
I'm tired.
17, gratuitous party shot time. 18, may seem counterintuitive. Hugs.
Hugs?
Bro hugs.
It doesn't say bro hugs. It just says hugs.
I feel like it's implied in Fast and Furious. It's bro hugs. 19, mentions of family and team. 20, roll-ups with the team.
What up? We're the team and we're here.
I'm guessing it's like slow-mo roll-ups. I noticed this about Marvel movies. It's like there has to be that slow-mo entrance where they're all just kind of like standing there like, oh yeah. And they just like look around. They're like, what are you guys doing? And like the camera
goes all the way around.
Yeah, it's
and
like slow motion. Like, what are you guys doing over there? We're over here. What's up? So yeah, I'm guessing it's like that.
This is one of my favorite ones.
Corona consumption. And this is maybe, I don't think this is talking about COVID. I think this is talking about beer.
Definitely the beer.
We'll put it out there. 22, property destruction. And 23, does a main character die? And then we have the point totals. And the weird thing is, I think, I'm not exactly sure how he scored this.
Yeah,
because that's the lowest one, but that's the winner. And the highest one
is 9?
Is Hobbs and Shaw. That's the one with Jason Statham.
That's the one that just came out recently that I heard was ridiculous.
Yeah, no, like I don't know.
My brother and me, they went and saw it in that the D-Box It's not what it sounds like. It's the seat at a movie theater that has like, it sprays you with water and it punches you in the back.
Is that what it does? Like,
yes.
I never knew because I'm not paying extra for whatever gimmick they're trying to sell me.
So that's what it does.
I never.
It was a great bit.
I never.
They got punched in the back the whole time and they were wet the entire time because it kept getting sprayed with water.
Who wouldn't be? Okay, so this guy, this Redditor that made this whole list, this is kind of his thing. He does like way too much analytics on things that it's ridiculous. So his name is Lundgren's Front Kick. Lundgren's Front Kick. And he has a bunch of other posts that are equally as ridiculous, such as movies featuring snowmobile action scenes that are way cooler than movies featuring jet ski action scenes. Analyzing the unnecessary large trap and predators. How old is MacGruber? How long did it take the Joker's henchmen to build the cash pyramids of the Dark Knight? Brad Pitt eating in box office numbers. Jean-Claude Van Damme and his splits. How far did the shark travel in Jaws? Matthew McConaughey's massive jump in Reign of Fire. I won't read all of these because there's a lot.
There's so many.
But he does a lot of things that's like he finds some random element of a movie that he thinks is funny. And he wants to explore and kind of put reality and like analytics to. And he writes a whole Reddit post about it. And it's really funny. It's really, I don't know. I just really appreciated it. And Fast and Furious is so goofy. And here's the thing.
Didn't we talk about a podcast at one point where they talked about how like if there's a jet ski scene?
It was How'd This Get Made, right?
I think so.
Mantzoukas and what's his name?
Yes, because they talked about Triple X. Wasn't that the movie?
Yeah.
Yes. Oh, I forgot we talked about that movie, that podcast a long time ago. Man, that's a good podcast. That was one of my favorite podcasts back in the day.
It's a really funny one.
It's so funny. And a lot of those movies were movies I grew up on. And it's just like so stupid.
I do not hate on people who like Fast and Furious. I don't think they are good in basically any sense, but are they fun to watch?
That's the thing. Yeah, they're fun to watch.
That's fine.
In this terrible time, what we need is a new Fast and Furious.
Fastester and Furiouster, number 12.
That's what we need. So today I learned about something that was really fascinating to me. It was when I was doing my research on discoveries for our social medias, which if you're not in the Podcast Discovery Club or following us on Twitter, you should be because we explore a lot of really cool stuff throughout the week.
Yeah, we really try.
But I found out, did you know, and this was in Today I Learned, that alligators, flounders, and crocodiles, and some turtle/tortoises do not die of old age. They don't age biologically. So I will say there was a little bit of a clickbaitiness to the article because they age, of course. They grow and they get older and, their teeth will fall out eventually and stuff like that. However, there is something. In reality, we do see them dying, so why? So it would be right to say that they have the potential to live forever. To understand this, we'll have to first look at, how would you pronounce that? Senescence? Senescence. Senescence is a term used to indicate gradual deterioration of the body with age. In simpler words, you could call it aging. So apparently, these animals don't have that. Their bodies don't break down like ours do. And that's why tortoises will live to be like ridiculous, like hundreds of years old.
Literally, most like reputable tortoise breeders make you write it into their will before you get the tortoise. Because literally, if anybody you know has a tortoise, they need to have it in their will because it will outlive them.
But see, this is why. And it's fascinating. I had no clue. Like, why do these things live so long? Because they don't. I said, this was an extremely nerdy thing that I said to Zach. I said, Zach, they're like elves. They don't die unless there's certain circumstances that make them die.
Yeah, they have to go on a boat.
What is it? In elves, the only way that they die is if they die in battle, right?
Yeah, they definitely can die in battle, but then
that's like the only way that they can die.
I think they're like dying. I don't know.
But most animals exhibit senescence. So we get older, our deteriorated life parameters increase our risk of dying. Humans exhibit this thing, but crocodiles do not. Biologically, these animals are immortal, which is crazy, which most of the time when they die, it's from a disease, from another predator, or from some other, outside reason. It's not of old age. So it's not saying they will live forever, but it's saying that biologically
they could. If they were in a perfect
environment, they would not die. And I will say that there is an amazing picture of a crocodile that was, let me see if I can find this. It says it. They do say that a 7-year-old crocodile is as good as a 70-year-old crocodile, because it's the same. Like they're full grown at 7 and at 70 years old, same. But there is a picture of a crocodile that was, it was in Australia in 1957. It was 28 feet long. 28 feet long.
No,
and I will show a picture of it, and
fake.
There will be show notes for those that are listening to the podcast.
Well, let's see if we can get a shot for everybody here. Look at this thing. Get in there. Yeah, there you go. Look at that. Look at the people right here on the side.
Do you see the person? That's like that's
the hat that's sticking over the top of the giant dinosaur.
That little thing is a person, and this is said crocodile. It's pretty nuts. It's ridiculous.
It's terrifying that they can be out there just turned into dinosaurs living in the waters. So in quarantine, I read on the internet one time.
So it must be real.
That sometimes people like drinking during quarantine. I wouldn't know anything about that.
Nope, not me.
And I found an Atlas Obscura.
Do you have a quarantine drink? I created one.
Okay, please tell everybody what your quarantine drink is.
You already know what it is, don't you?
I do know what it is, and you need to tell the world.
No, I shouldn't.
I mean, I can do it, but it's going to be exaggerated. It's up to you.
So,
there we go.
I had the stuff to make both a margarita and a vodka cranberry, both of them very fruity drinks, because I like fruity drinks. They're nice. Other than like straight whiskey, that's my favorite. And I'm like, I don't know which one I want. I'm going to go outside and sit in the pool with the kids and just relax. So what did I do? I'm like, you know what? I bet you that cranberry goes really good with a margarita mix. So I just mixed them together and I called it the Corona cocktail. And it is real good. It goes really, make a margarita and then make a vodka cranberry and then pour them in the same glass together. And there you go. It's a Corona cocktail. That's mine.
That's the way to do it. And honestly, you realize that a vodka cranberry is a cosmopolitan. I never knew that.
I didn't know that. What?
A cosmopolitan citrus vodka. Cointreau. So I think that's...
There's just a few little ingredients left out, and that's it.
Cranberry.
What? So basically the only thing is the fresh lime and the...
liqueur. Triple sec. Then you got a Cosmo. But yeah, they are delicious. You're not wrong. We've done a lot of old fashions at the house.
You know what I did the other day? Because we have fresh mint. I'm like, you know what? I want a mint julep later on, but I need to water my plants. I'm going to go pick my mint now. So I picked my mint, put it in my glass that I'm going to make my mint julep in. I put that in the freezer. Okay. So you know how it's kind of always a little bit of a pain to muddle your mint at the bottom of your glass? If you put it in the freezer for 30 minutes or so, it becomes like rigid, and then you just like poke it and it just turns into little shatters of mint.
That's not what I'm looking for.
No, it was great.
No, all I did
was
like
awesome.
Punch it one time. Because all you need to do is express the oils. I actually
I had like little pieces of mint everywhere. I mean, it was all in my teeth.
That's
what
I'm saying. That's what I don't want. I just smash it, but don't break it, and then you stick it in there.
Another thing is this is a different day thing, and
we read all of this on the internet. We haven't been.
Yeah, this wasn't any by experience at all. I was making our our mint grapes, with mint and sugar.
Sure, the Marcy special.
Yes, the Marcy special, which if you have not done this, I don't think we did talk about this recipe.
Have we talked about it on the show?
We did. Just recently when I was listening to old episodes, we talked about it. But you take green grapes, the grapes that are green, you put them in a bag, take them off the vine and stuff, so they're just loose. And then you take some fresh sweet mint. That's one of the big parts.
The crinklies?
It's called, the crinkly leafed mint.
That's the good stuff.
It's sweet
Get the crinkly. Spearmint, stupid.
Mm-hmm. And what I do, I don't know what your mom did. What did she do? How did she get it?
Food processor.
Food processor. Okay. Well, I'm a little more manual, so I have a molcajete, which is essentially
a punching machine, and he punches it until it's in the sugar.
Mm-hmm. No, that is a mortar and pestle. Mortar and pestle.
I know what a molcajete is.
Molcajete. And I mix it with the sugar, and I have this sugary mint, essentially, flavoring, and I put that on the grapes, and it's amazing.
How'd your kids like it?
Oh, they love it. It's like their new favorite treat.
It's the thing. So, yeah.
But I had a little bit left over, and I used that instead of a sugar cube in my mint julep.
Yeah.
It was
I know
amazing.
We're way off whatever we were on.
Yeah, what was your actual discovery?
No, but I've started making simple syrup. I will never buy that junk ever again.
Mm-hmm. Did you infuse it with anything? What?
No.
You just made it.
I just made simple syrup. I add other things, because when I make an old fashioned, I like to use good maraschino cherries because then
that's not a regular thing in an old fashioned, but I've always put it in an old fashioned.
Is it not?
It's not. It's just orange
bitters
peel.
And orange?
Yep.
Lame.
That maraschino cherry.
Now
you don't get the
No, they're not
the bright colored red ones that you put on an ice cream sundae. No.
Sugar. You get the good ones. The ones that are like, I don't want to pay as much for maraschino cherries. Do it. They taste amazing.
They'll last for a long time.
And then take a little bit of that juice. Boom. Mm-hmm. And then you hit a little simple syrup. Boom. Bitters.
So good.
Orange zest and whiskey and ice. It's just whiskey, and it tastes it's dangerous. Don't get me wrong. It is a dangerous drink because it's just whiskey, and you're like, that tastes that's great, and you're just drinking them. But they're great.
One glass, honey.
But are you calling me honey? I don't appreciate that. No, it's fine. It wouldn't be the first time. But my actual discovery for this week was I saw an Atlas Obscura article called 11 Cocktails from Around the World that you can make at home. So if you want to explore some of the world's cocktails, we got them. Gin Fizz from New Orleans.
Nolans. You got to say Nolans.
Nolans. So, 1915, he had 35. He called them shaker boys because this drink, you'd put in a shaker. He requires that you shake it for 12 full minutes.
What?
It's called a gin fizz for a reason. So here's what it is. 2 ounces of gin, a half ounce of heavy cream, a half ounce of lemon juice and lime juice, 3/4 of an ounce of simple syrup, half a teaspoon of orange flower water. I would do triple sec. And an egg white.
The only way you can have this drink is if you work at a Lowe's after hours and you have access to the paint shaker.
Ooh, can you talk to the Lowe's employees? Be like, hey, look, man, I will let you have one of these if you let me use that paint shaker. Shake that thing up, and you can have one too. So yeah, that's the gin fizz, and it's I don't really know. There's a lot of these that are a mix of dairy plus liquor, which I mean, other than White Russian, I've never done. Well, and a hard eggnog.
Yeah.
And that's good too.
Yeah,
and
it's not bad.
What was the one Josh did?
Ooh,
it's
coquito.
Yes, so
the
it's
Puerto Rican one, the Puerto Rican specialty during Christmas time. That was so good.
It is.
That was real good.
Honestly, I'm not gonna hate on it. You should not drink a lot of it because I do not think drinking a bunch of alcohol and a bunch of milk is gonna be something that's gonna be good for you. You have a bad time. So this one, Panther milk from Barcelona.
Barcelona.
Spain. But honestly, much better in Spanish. Leche de Pantera.
Leche de Panther.
Much better than Panther milk. That sounds like something out of Anchorman. But this was literally developed by the military because it would be very easy for them to make, because they would use gin, condensed milk, and water. That's it. So it's all things that you could take with you on military things. And once again, this is from the 1920s. All of these are classic. Like, these are things that were developed a long, long time ago. But they all have dairy, and I'm sketched out. But weird. I want to try it. But they have remade this so that it's something that you can like kind of do at home. So if you want to make this at home, 1 ounce of gin, 1 ounce of white rum, 1 ounce of condensed milk, 5 ounces of milk, and a teaspoon of grenadine. It literally looks like the Pink Panther.
I don't like the look of it.
Why? It's got cinnamon on it.
It looks like pink milk. It looks like pink milk, which I don't like.
I don't like strawberry milk. Do you ever drink that?
No, I never liked that. Even
chocolate
as a kid,
milk or nothing.
I just don't drink milk most of the time.
You don't like milk?
Only in
Are
cereal.
You lactose intolerant?
No.
You just don't like it.
I just don't like it. I told this story. I drank bad milk when I was a kid, and it freaked me out. I've never really liked milk since then.
I think milk I told you that I smell it every time. Like, literally every single time I have opened any kind of milk, any kind of dairy product for the past 10 years, I smell it. Because you can smell if it's off.
Mm-hmm.
The Pegu Club cocktail. Pegu is probably right. From Myanmar, formerly known as Burma. Perhaps the only enduring positive outcome of 124 years of British rule was this cocktail. The bitter, citrusy gin drink sent refreshing chills down the sweaty napes of many military officers.
What?
Sweaty napes? It's your neck.
Not nips. Napes.
Sweaty. Sweaty nips. Oh my God.
That's what I heard. I'm like, what? Why are they talking about sweaty nips?
Okay, I'm going to have to reread that. If I said nips, that was some kind of Freudian something. I'm going to just go back to the line before. The bitter citrusy drink set refreshing. Get out of here with your nips talk.
I didn't say it again.
No, I'm talking about you. Got my head.
Oh.
Okay. The bitter citrusy gin drink sent refreshing chills down the sweaty napes of many military officers sweltering in the Pegu Club, an expansive Victorian-style gentleman's club on the outskirts of Yangon that could have been called a sore thumb if it were remotely as useful. So, they had this drink that was bitter and refreshing. 2 ounces of gin, 3/4 ounce of orange liqueur, triple sec, half an ounce of lime juice, 2 dashes of bitters, and a shaker.
What is that, though?
That's the next one. That's in Mexico.
Oh, I have actually heard of this. Debauchee
from Mexico. Mildly fermented pineapple beverage.
Mm-hmm.
So, to make this and do at your own risk, fermenting stuff on your own, you're in your own world. There's more than one way to carry out the centuries-old process and more than one way to cause an explosion if you do it improperly as well. Start by dissolving a cup of brown sugar in 2 quarts of warm water. Add the peels and core from a ripe watermelon. Add the peels and core from a ripe pineapple, along with a stick of cinnamon and 3 cloves to a pitcher. Pour the sugar water into the pitcher, cover it with a cloth, and set aside for 24 hours or until a layer of foam is collected along the surface of the water. Do not leave it in a closed container. It will blow up in your closet. Strain the mixture, add sugar to taste, drink with ice. The lunch box. So this one is kind of goofy. There's a lot of these that were kind of flexible on. It was kind of like more of a theme. So this one, there's a lot of regional varieties. Shot glass of amaretto inside a frosted beer mug. Fill the mug 3/4 the way with Coors Light. Pick anything else.
Anything else.
It's fine. Pick
Milwaukee.
Pick a lager from Germany. It's going to taste more like beer.
Not old Milwaukee.
Not Old Milwaukee. Pick a lager from Germany. It's going to taste more like beer. Top it off with orange juice.
Natty Light.
That's it. Not Natty Light. That's it.
Wait, so it's just orange juice and beer?
Orange juice, beer, amaretto.
Nah, I'll pass on that one.
Yeah, it's because you don't like beer. By the way, Kirk is a champion. He's drank a lot of beer. It was a lot more before. I need to start peer pressuring you like Josh. Like, taste it. You're going to love it. Taste it. Drink it. Go. And
yeah, he did that every single time we would record.
Okay, well. Oh, I hate it.
I took one sip. I'm like, no, the thing I don't like about beer is the beer taste. Is the taste that makes it taste like beer. I don't like the taste of the beer.
So it's a problem when he's trying to taste beer all the time.
You'll like this one. It doesn't taste like beer. It tastes like beer.
Turbo. I guarantee that's not how it's pronounced because it's from Ethiopia. So if you ask 10 people how to make a turbo, you get 10 different answers. And technically they'll all be correct. It's because it'd rather be a recipe-based cocktail. Because rather than be a recipe-based cocktail, it's more of a loose tradition. It's mixing things. If you're drinking a light, sweet, boozy beverage with a smoky grilled meat, you've got the right idea.
So it's like an alcoholic suicide. It's just like everything.
Yeah, it really can vary. So most of them, a mixture of beer, wine, and soda. So just kind of wait.
Any beer, any wine, any soda.
Okay, if you go to a cafe in Ethiopia, and first of all, everybody check out this. I'll put this Atlas Obscura article in the show notes. It's awesome. They have a ton of detail. But if you go to a cafe, you'll get half coffee, half tea. As for in a juice bar, you'll get a blend of whatever the fresh fruit is of the day. And if you go to somewhere that has alcohol, beer, white wine, Sprite. Canelazo on Day in Highlands.
What is that? Where is that?
Andes, right? South America?
Makes sense.
So for this one, 1 1/3 cups brown sugar, a juiced lime, cloves, cinnamon sticks, pinch of salt, boiling water, simmer for 7 minutes, and add a half cup of orange juice and 4 ounces of rum or aguardiente.
Aguardiente.
You know what that is?
Nope.
Serve while still hot. That's an interesting one. Grasshopper. I think this is the one I was thinking of. So grasshopper, this is...
What?
Equal parts creme de cacao, creme de menthe, and heavy cream. Shaken with ice and served in a martini glass. This inspired Andes candies. This inspired mint chocolate chip.
What? That's one of my favorite ice creams.
It's like the mintiest, and it looks amazing.
It looks awesome.
I think
it's a verdant green. It looks
I think that's creme de menthe, right? Isn't it like greenish?
If True Algae, where we work, ever has a cocktail party, that has to be the cocktail.
100%. We'll be like, this is an algae cocktail.
Because it reminds me of our algae.
All right, I'm going to keep trying. I'm sorry this is taking so long.
This is taking a long time, but I'm having fun.
I'm glad. Okay, next one is a cool historical one. Fish House Punch. So this
one looks nuts.
This was a favorite of George Washington. So I'm going to skip, seriously, read this article. If by now you haven't figured out, Atlas Obscura is a great
It is really good.
site.
Really cool stuff.
Is. They have so much history embedded in everything they're talking about. It's really incredible. So George Washington loved this random fisheries.
Fishery.
I think it was. That's why they call it fish punch. It doesn't have fish in it. It's
I'm glad it doesn't have fish in it.
No, it was I can't pronounce that word. Shoykill. Fishing company. So it's.
I'll say it every time. You just point at it, I'll do it. Shoykill.
Okay. That fish company had a fish punch that was literally not fish based, but sounds pretty good. But you have to have a lot of liquor. 3/4 ounce dark rum, cognac, and peach brandy, as well as a ½ ounce simple syrup, 1/4 ounce lime juice, ½ ounce lemon juice, in a shaker with ice. Sounds delicious, and that was a favorite.
Why does it look like it's like in Jello?
I don't know what the Jello is.
It looks like there's.
I don't know what all this is going to be in the show notes. If you're ever curious,
It looks
about
like
what
it's
we're
in
talking about
Jell-O.
visually, it's because we can see what each other are looking at.
George
But
Washington had the first Jello shot that was as big as a bowl.
if he could take that as a Jello shot, that dude deserved to be president. Like that's enough right there. Okay, Dawa.
Dawa.
Okay, this is where it starts getting interesting because in some of the other countries they do a lot of savory drinks. So this one I believe had meats, and this one specifically, they also were typically featuring endangered meats. So things that got a little wonky.
No, thank you.
Yeah, so they have switched from the endangered stuff to things like crocodile, ostrich, and rabbit. While you may not have any rare meats to pair with, it's easy to make your own dawa at home. Muddle 1 quartered lime with a teaspoon of brown sugar in a tumbler before adding 2 ounces of vodka and a handful of ice. So this was always
And a rabbit.
This was always paired with a weird.
So it's because it was paired with the meat?
I think so.
Okay, so it wasn't the meat inside the drink.
No, but the next one is.
I see. Oh, dang it.
Hriato.
I can't even read that. Yeah.
I'm not trying to be offensive. I don't know how to pronounce it, but this is a drink with bacon in it. This is a drink that you.
Okay, I will say if there's going to be a meat in a drink, it better be freaking bacon. I will say that.
Well, then Slovakia's got your back. So you need to cook 2 strips of bacon with extra bacon lard in there to make them real crispy.
Got it.
Throw in some honey. As soon as everything starts bubbling, remove the pan from the heat and add a shot of whatever brandy you have. Although plum brandy is the one that you should be using to be traditional. Return the pan to the heat, but don't let it boil. Stir the contents of the pan a bit and pour into a heat-safe mug, including as much of the bacon fat as you feel you need in these uncertain times.
I mean, I love bacon fat more than the next person. But that's kind of weird to drink straight bacon fat in a cocktail. That's pretty nuts.
I feel like the mouthfeel would be odd.
Hey, you know what? I bet
greasy.
you'd be very smooth.
It would be silky smooth.
Silky
Almost like it's
smooth.
greasy.
Almost greasy. Speaking of greasy, I have something that I want to tell you, listeners. Yo amo mayonesa y pies. Again, yo amo mayonesa y pies. What I am saying, you'll never know unless you're Brazilian.
Unless you speak Portuguese.
Because our friends over in Brazil really love the show. And I am excited to say hello from the U.S. to you in Brazil.
100%. We appreciate it.
According to our Chartable stats, we literally have reached all the way up to number 1 on Apple Podcasts in Brazil in the hobbies subgenre, which is nuts.
I don't know.
And amazing.
How it's...
And it's not just some random fluke because as well, our Spotify and our Libsyn stats say the same thing, that the second most popular place that we are listened to is in Brazil. So thank you, our friends in Brazil. And if you are in Brazil and you're listening to this show, hit us up on Twitter. Shoot us
get in touch.
an email, podcastdiscoveryshow@gmail.com. Let us know that you're listening down there. We would love to read your message, and it's exciting, man.
Yeah,
I think
it
it's cool.
is.
We're also trending in. I mean, we're in the top 100 in the U.S., which is great in one of our categories, which is hobbies. But we're trending in Australia. We're trending in Ireland. Which, have we ever talked about the show that we were on in Ireland? I don't, because it was in.
Did we ever actually talk about?
I don't
on
think
our
we
show?
did. I don't think we did because it was during our crazy work time.
That was during the terrible month. Well, 2 months.
When it released was during that. We recorded it right before, and then it released when we were working ridiculous hours and every single day.
So somebody reached out to us through Twitter, I think, and asked us to come on
and the Podcast Discovery Club. She was in the club for a while before that.
She's still in the club.
Yeah, she is.
And she reached out to us and said that they are part of a kind of a broadcasting college research type thing. And they would like for us to come on their show and talk about our show and what it's been like podcasting. And we did that. And it was
crazy.
We were an Irish radio show.
We were on an Irish radio show, and it was very professionally done. I mean, I loved it. It was an extremely, really cool experience. It was one of those highlights. I would say it was one of the highlights of 2020 so far for the podcast. And yeah.
It almost doesn't feel like 2020 because it was right in the middle of hell months.
It was bad. It was rough. Work was rough for a little bit. But we're through it, and here we are. But for all that said, if you are anywhere, even if you're in the US, say hello.
Yeah.
Let us know you're listening. We love to talk to you guys. We love for you to be in the Podcast Discovery Club over on Facebook. We just really like interacting with our listeners. And as well, we have started streaming this every single week, both on our Twitch channel, which should be in the show notes, as well as
it's not spoiler alert.
It will be after this.
It will be now.
But as well as the Podcast Discovery Club, we have a live stream every single week. So if you want to be part of the show live, you can join one of those two areas. Or if you're not free those times, you can follow us on our YouTube, and we also do the video of the show on there.
Yeah.
So with that, I have another discovery that I found that I thought was fascinating, and it is about an elephant. At first, it seems a little bit sad, but it really reminds you of how smart some animals are and how some people want to help animals. So there was this elephant that apparently had been shot by poachers twice, but it had escaped. And it was smart enough to know to go to a wildlife lodge in Zimbabwe, and they'd found out that it had been shot, so they called like the nearest vet, basically, and they flew him in, and this elephant knew, hey, these guys will protect animals, so I'm going to stay here in this safe area, and they will help me. This elephant was smart enough to know that. They called in a guy. The elephant waited outside the lodge for 5 hours for the vet to come. They assessed the wounds of the elephant. They treated the wounds of the elephant. And they were able to, of course, they sedated him to treat the wounds. They treated the wounds and all of that stuff. And then they put a tracker on him so they could find him later on, because one of his wounds, because one of his wounds was infected. So they gave him antibiotics and everything like that. But it's a crazy story of Ben the elephant. They named him Ben. And they even went and did the second checkup on him. You know, they used the GPS tracker to find him, to check on his wound. It was healing. It was doing good. And they were able to treat it a second time. And it was funny because they talked about how, like, the second time they treated him, he was with his family, basically. And all the other elephants just watched them. They didn't even, like, act weird or anything. They're just like, hey, they're helping Ben.
No,
it was just, what the fascinating thing to me is this elephant was like, dang it, I'm hurt and I need help. And he went to a place that he thought would help him, and they did.
The thing that, like, I don't know. And okay, another shout out to varmints, because they talk about this a lot, is like animal intelligence. Because not only did it go for help, but it went to help from humans after being shot by humans. You see what I mean? It was able to differentiate between the harmful ones to the helpful ones. And it's kind of crazy to think about. And I don't know. I always really liked elephants.
Right.
I felt like they're, I don't know, majestic is the best word for them, honestly.
Yeah. I mean, I do remember,
enormous.
and I wish that, I mean, granted, maybe it wasn't the best thing, but when I was a kid, I remember going to the circus and seeing the elephants, and you could pay a little bit of money and ride an elephant. And even by the time that I took my kids to the circus, that was not a thing anymore.
No, they don't allow.
But when I was a kid, that was a thing. Like, it was outside of the circus, and you could ride an elephant.
Yeah. I think they say it's bad for their backs.
Really? I mean, it makes sense.
I think it's the saddle thing. You know what I mean? I think that we don't ride them like in a place where it's like makes sense for their body. We just like, okay, we want to have a carriage on top of this giant horse.
Like so elephants on Lord of the Rings, where they have like a whole 3-story building on it.
Yeah, so I think it was one of those things that we were negatively impacting them, and it's not fair when they're like, I don't know, they're pretty amazing creatures.
They really are. They're very smart, and they're very like family oriented and stuff like that. I think we've read an article about like they will go and they will almost to the date they will go grieve a family member's death.
Mm-hmm.
Like the fact that
the same path.
Literally the fact that Elephant Graveyard was a thing in like The Lion King was because that's a thing.
Yeah,
there's elephant graveyards.
They'll all touch the bones.
It's
as
crazy.
They walk by.
It's really weird.
There are some animals.
Animals are much smarter than we give them credit for a lot of times.
100%. And it's, I don't know. I always just appreciated that. You know, I always appreciated kind of how incredible they are. So that's a great story.
Yeah, I thought it was a fascinating story. So shout out to Ben the Elephant. Hey, brother, if you're listening in Zimbabwe.
Ben the Elephant is listening. So for the final discovery of the week, last week I talked to a local St. Pete guy, and he is absolutely incredible. When this is out, you'll be able to hear my conversation with him if you'd like to. And his name is Billy Mays III, but he goes by Infinite Third. And the song that I'd like to recommend is called Collect. But please get in touch. We'd love to hear from you. The Podcast Discovery Club on Facebook, at the PDS Official on Twitter. I'm trying to think if there's anything else. What's our Twitch? Oh, Podcast Discovery Show on Twitch. The Podcast Discovery Show on YouTube.
Yeah, search the Podcast Discovery Show for YouTube.
We have a lot of ways to get in touch, and we would love to talk to you. We seriously would. So please get in touch.
Oh, we have a hotline number, which will be in the show notes as well. Hey, if you've got a discovery that you would like us to talk about on the podcast, give us a call on the hotline. Be like, hey, I discovered about Ralph the Elephant who did this, this, and this.
Yeah, and if you don't want
to
be like featured on the show, let us know. We just want to hear from you. We want to hear about you discovering things, and we want to talk about it.
Yep.
We really appreciate you listening. And this is Collect by Infinite Third.
podcast from the Podfix Network.
You can check out more shows like it at podfixnetwork.com.